All right, guys, welcome to the Bownerds podcast, to the Mental Health Monday check-in episodes. This will be the second episode, and we were kind of talking before this episode about what we were going to talk about, and we decided just to hit record.
Yeah, we were about to dive deep before we push record, so
we're just going to get going on it.
It's been amazing things, dude, this week.
A crazy week. It's hard to say it's crazy, but in a good sense, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
There
was a lot of people reached out about the podcast, the Mental Health Mondays, which I think was a breath of fresh air and like a testament to know that there is a need for this. So many people bringing it, love that we're bringing it to attention and just like throwing it out there, having it out for anyone and everyone to hear, understand, reach out. And I mean, the messages that we've gotten, the DMs, texts, people reaching out and just thanking that, they now don't feel like they're alone, which I think is epic. And plus people sending messages, giving like advice on what has worked for them. And I had one guy, he sent me an email. Like I don't know where he got my email. He got my hacks an email, which I thought was epic. I'll read a quick little proverb from it. He had mentioned that he had gone through some of the worst panic attacks in his life, and there's two videos that he sent me. One's titled "The Bible Way to Heaven," and then another one is "Once Saved, Always Saved" with scriptures on screen. And he just mentioned, he was just like, he's like, I pray that you watch these two videos and absolutely change my life. Ultimately, they changed my life and ultimately my destiny. And I hope they can change yours too. And he just mentioned like, find the people that can be on your team, be by your side, be your support system. But he's like, ultimately, the most important relationship you can have is God. I like 100% agree with that. And I think that kind of rolls into exactly what Jared and I kind of were talking about right before we started pressing record. So I think
absolutely
today's going to dive deep into God's.
Yeah. And yeah, there's always been no denying him. But after this week, my gosh, man, it has been powerful. And the ironic thing is neither one of these stories or the things that we're going to talk about, neither of them saw that mental health podcast before these conversations.
That's great.
You just put it into the universe and it just seems like everything's happening for a reason.
Absolutely.
Sorry, can you hear the TV upstairs?
A little bit.
No,
a little bit.
Okay.
I couldn't tell. If that was.
Is it distracting?
I mean, it's very faint. Were they watching Frozen?
The
Moana?
new robot movie came out.
Nice.
Wild Robot.
Yeah, I haven't seen
cute.
That's important. Even if it's distracting, the kids got to watch what the kids got to watch.
Yeah, right. I liked it. It was really cute. Okay, I sent it out there and see if we can get it turned down a touch. Okay, I'm glad we can edit this.
We got families.
Yeah.
I mean, we can splice it out, but yeah, we got families.
Yeah, and if you haven't noticed in probably the first two episodes or anything that Braxton and I post or any of our YouTube hunting videos or anything, I mean, we give all glory to God. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And worship Jesus Christ. It's definitely a big part of our lives. So
yeah,
I would encourage you, if it's not the case for you, don't turn this podcast off, but just tune in and hang with us.
I think even if somebody's not necessarily a God-believing soul, which I think is totally fine, I feel like most people do feel energy in like what you said, you put out in the atmosphere, you put out in the universe, and things start rolling, or you get what you give type of thing. And I feel like most people, I mean, everybody really in the hunting community and stuff is 99% believe in God. I mean, we are in his creation every day, all day. And so like, I
don't think I've met somebody in the hunting community that doesn't believe in God.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Man, where do I start? Man, I guess we'll start with the second story. A couple weeks ago, got some news about someone really close to me. And right before this, I was talking to Braxton. Like I've been thinking all day. We were gonna do this podcast yesterday, which would have been Thursday or the day before, Wednesday. No, I was on duty Wednesday. It was gonna be Thursday because just that Wednesday night and rolling into Thursday morning into the day, there was some stuff that was happening. It's really powerful, and to be honest with you, it got really heavy on me, and I just needed to talk about it. But then the stomach flu rolled into my household, and things changed. But we're doing it now. Got some news a couple weeks ago about someone really close to me getting some pretty rough news, and it's pretty heavy stuff. This person, trying not to divulge too much because I believe that he would hop on this podcast immediately, but I don't want to tell his full story without him having the chance to tell it himself, I guess. He had a very rough childhood. He lost some family members very close to him at a young age, and what's the word? He's had anger and resentment towards God his entire life. He's never read the Bible. I think he might have attended church and grew up going to church as he was like really young, but never really read the Bible, anything like that. And he got this news, and man, this big strong guy he's been pretty tore up about it. Very, very scared and worried. And something deep down inside me this whole time, ever since he told me, there's been some, I wouldn't say comfort, but there's been something that's been telling me that it's genuinely going to be okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like a piece to the chaos.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Like a calm.
something. Yeah, exactly. Like it's just gonna be okay. And I've been praying about it a whole bunch, and maybe that's what's giving me that peace. But man, gosh, I don't know how to say this without telling his entire story, man. I guess we'll just do it. Because I'm not divulging who he is. So he essentially last summer died and was brought back by paramedics and stuff. And while he was dead, he actually recorded a video of this as soon as he was alert enough and healed up, and he still remembered this so vividly that he recorded this.
Really?
He describes stuff that he saw. And I've heard this, I've watched it on some TV episodes and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've never, not from somebody that's been close to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
He describes like this feeling of essentially like a baby in amniotic fluid, and like this warmth and this comfort, and then also some other visions of like some World War II type stuff, right? And then and I'm really sorry if I'm butchering this. Again, he'll probably get on here and talk about it when he's ready. And then like a tunnel, right? So he's describing all this stuff. I haven't seen the video yet. He's waiting to show me in person, so he'll show me that here soon. But this was last summer, right? And he's been wondering like what it all meant for a while now, and up to about a week ago, he's got a friend also grew up rough lifestyle from one thing or another, and devoted his life to Jesus Christ about 5 years ago, right? He's got an autistic daughter. And he was at his house the other day, just sitting there talking to him, and what he's describing to me. And this is just a phone call I had with him telling me this stuff. And he really wants to tell me in person, like every detail and everything, obviously. But we haven't had a chance to. And I wanted to get on here and just kind of talk about everything, mostly probably just to get it off my chest, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But he was sitting at his friend's house, completely awake, right? And then all of a sudden, eyes open, all of a sudden he's telling me that he starts to see, like, it's not like a vision like you're seeing something. I almost like interpret it as like a daydream type thing. Like he's not seeing it, but he's feeling it enough that he can see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And his buddy's like looking at him, and he's like almost just staring off. Right? And his buddy's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Like, do I need to call somebody? What's going on?" And he describes some things that he was seeing. It was similar to that first visions that he had.
Yeah.
when he had died. And dude, he's describing stuff to this gentleman that he should not know about this guy's family. He
Really?
describes stuff about the daughter and this seeing these big giant hands holding this little girl. It turns out, without getting into too much detail, what he saw was exactly what happened after she was born, like to the T, dude.
Really?
I got goosebumps talking about it. Yeah. And then he went to lunch with him a few days later, and a similar thing happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, after that, he's talking to his buddy. He's like, dude, I feel like I need to tell you something. And he tells him something about this gentleman's mom, about like maybe not being able to, they're not going to be together much longer, right? I'm not kidding you. 2 days later, this guy's mom got diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's.
You're kidding.
No.
Wow.
Right? Like, powerful.
Yeah.
And then get this, like, dude, this keeps it's just one thing after another. And this whole entire time, I'm like, I just feel the presence of Jesus and God.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Like it just makes you want to like scream to the world. You know what I mean? Like I was rambling on with V about this stuff. V is my wife, Valissa, for those that don't know. Just for like hours after these conversations with these two people. And he was describing, he was laying in bed. Again, I said he's never read the Bible. Right. And he was on speakerphone and his wife was sitting right there when he was telling me this. So it's not, I mean, he's not going to lie to me.
Yeah.
He's not that type of person. He's not going to make stuff up. He was laying in bed next to her one night and the only thing I can think of is that he was speaking in tongues. Have you heard of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, he verbatim, word for word, the book of Revelations.
In his sleep.
He was awake. And he started just speaking this tongues, laying in bed next to his wife.
Really?
Bro.
He's got a purpose.
And that's what I told him. And I was just like, dude, God has got something for you, man. And he's going to church on Sunday. If he's feeling better, he got hit with a pretty gnarly cold.
Wow.
Yeah, he's going to church on Sunday.
Wow.
And he's like, if you would have asked me a year ago if I would have ever considered going to church, I would have said absolutely not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, he's going to church. Yeah, I mean, just talking to him on the phone, he's like in a sense, he's like praising Jesus and stuff like that. And
that's
like,
incredible.
We're on the phone. It's like there's no denying him, man. And I texted you. I was like, dude, God is putting in some work in capital letters, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So in this phone call, which was a little over an hour long or so, was right after I was on the phone with someone very close to me. That usually our phone calls are like 10, 20 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a quick phone call, checking in, seeing where we're at. 3 hours. We were on the phone for 3 hours, man. And this one, let me just start by saying, check on your people. If you feel the need, like if something's saying, I need to text this person, do it. It takes a half a second. Text them, call them, check in. I almost missed the opportunity with this one. And it genuinely breaks my heart with this one. This one's been struggling for quite a few years. And about 2 weeks ago, he was telling me it was life or death situation. Everything was so much and he couldn't take it anymore. I'm sorry. Which, I mean, in a week and a half ago and I don't know if the days lined up or what. I did actually call him. He didn't answer. I think he was busy or something was going on or he wasn't ready to talk or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did call him and then he ended up calling me back a couple days ago and he decided, like, he grew up with a pretty strong belief. He also lost a family member very close to him when he was younger. And he's never been one to doubt to my knowledge, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he committed 100% and gave his life to Jesus Christ 2 weeks ago. And what he was talking about giving it 100% for pretty much most of the time I've known him, which is probably 12 years now, almost 14 years now, doing the
Yeah.
math.
Wow.
He's been the type of person good at everything, and is always doing stuff. And again, another one, I don't want to get into too much detail because he asked me not to, because he's not ready for it. He's not ready
Yeah.
to talk about it too much.
Yeah.
But he talks about pretty much giving up everything, giving up hunting, giving up things that he would do to distract him from essentially the issues that he's been having. Like he
Yeah.
would do all these things to prove that he's good at everything, to prove that he can do everything that everybody thinks he can do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like an imposter syndrome type thing. It kind of sounds like it a little bit, like you're just trying to be what everybody thinks that you are. So he's like, I had to absolutely just give up everything and start over. And he's like, and I never really understood, sorry, when people are getting baptized and the pastor talks about like your old self is dying, essentially, but now he gets it. Like your old self has to die for you to be like born again, right?
Yeah.
Start this whole new journey fresh. And I guess all I can really say, because again, this was a 3-hour conversation, and I was just genuinely just listening to him and taking it all in. Shoot, I lost my thought. Sorry, guys.
A lot of
My brain
thoughts.
this week has been all over the place, and just what was I talking about?
You were mentioning just being born again after being baptized, and then he's now realized that.
Yeah, so like with the hunting stuff, like he wasn't enjoying it, and it's a lot of similarities of like my situation I had on the mountain that a couple of years ago before we killed that buck together. Like it's one of those things like, why am I even out here? It's not fun for me right now. But he took his little child, to not get too many details. He took his child out hunting with him this last year, and he goes, that is what I needed. That is what it's all about. It reminded me of when I was a kid and I was hunting and I was excited about everything, and that's all I wanted to go do. And that's what he meant about just giving everything up that he loves. Is kind of essentially resetting and really taking a step back and realizing why you're doing the things that you're doing. But to sum it up, it's these two conversations, two people that don't know each other in two completely different areas, and two honestly like different areas of my life. They similarities between the things that they were saying and telling me about how, like, one of them was saying, like, the first story, how he hasn't ever really let God into his life and stuff. And now
Mm-hmm.
it's pouring in, right? All
Yeah.
these powerful things are happening to him, and he's seeing all these things and experiencing all these things. And then like it's similar in the aspect of the other person was telling me about that family member that they lost was also not religious, didn't really have God in their life or anything like that until the final few days, and all he wanted was to get baptized and to meet with a pastor and to have people praying and all this stuff in the last couple days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like it's just like those two conversations, just one thing after another. Like one would say something and it'd be like, oh my gosh, they said something like it was different, but I could totally relate it and tie it
See
into
the
each other.
correlation of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I felt like I had to share just how powerful that stuff was to me this week.
Yeah.
It's been pretty incredible.
Yeah. I think it's important to be listening. You listening to them, but not only that, listening to
The spirit.
the spirit, the deeper meaning of their message, and like there's a reason why they're sharing it with you. Whether, it's just a simple little reminder to know like he's there. You know what I mean? And I mean, even for me, like you just telling me, like it's a simple reminder for me, like he's there. So don't forget. And having multiple messages literally pour in over this last week of literally just bringing up God. I just personally, I know I can do better about having him in the center of my life. And it's like, I typically go to church every Sunday, but like I go to church every Sunday type of thing, right?
Yeah.
The last few weeks, I've been like wanting to go to church and like
Same.
wanting to do my scripture study, wanting to like pray and build my relationship back up. Right. And so
Hmm.
all of these little things, little reminders, I think the biggest, I mean, thought that I want to like give the message out is like, remember to listen because like he's there. And if you don't take the time to listen, it's going to be hard to hear him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and honestly, I don't think it's cliche to say. I keep saying this to a couple people. Like, I know it's cliche to say this, but like the little voice,
For sure.
that little voice is legit, man. And you know, sometimes things happen and you don't know why. Or like, for instance, like there's no coincidence that we started this podcast this same week. You know what I mean? We might not know the answer why, but there's a reason why, and we're going to keep pushing forward, and we will eventually find out the reason why.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I feel like we've seen little snippets of already the why. I know we shared like if we change one person's life or make one impact in one person's life, this podcast makes it worth it, right? And I
I
remember
think we hit that in like 10 minutes.
you sent me a screenshot of a text and just said the one, and then I think 2 minutes later, another one, and then another one, and then I had some pouring through, and I was like, yeah, this is not just one, dude. Like there is a reason, and not only for us, but for other people to have a place in this community. I mean, the hunting community is, I feel like, so tight niched and like a big brotherhood. You can go talk to anyone. You could literally walk into a gas station. They're wearing camo. You can say, "Oh, dude, you go hunting?" You can have full on conversation and share stories of hunting, and it's like you knew them forever, right?
Yeah.
You can't do like very rarely can you do that with anything else because everybody just understands and like so bringing the mental health aspect, bringing more God into it, bringing this tighter group of brotherhood and like making and letting people feel and understand like we were there for each other. Like I'm there for you, you're there for me. I had 100 messages and comments and stuff of people sharing, "Hey, dude, I'm there for you." When I shared my struggles, and that was like just just like literally, I sat back and just thought, "Wow, never did I ever feel like I was ever seen more in my life,"
Hmm.
which was really, I mean, really powerful.
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty crazy what's already happened in a week.
Yeah.
And I'm eating it up, man. I'm loving it.
Okay.
Like I was telling,
I want you to think it hasn't even been a week.
oh, it
We
hasn't.
dropped a podcast Monday. Today's Friday. It's been a work
Yeah.
week. It's been 5
it's
days
it's been
and
five
this
days.
has happened. Like that's pretty freaking incredible. There's a bigger thing than us.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's shown immediately.
Yeah. And the first person I was telling the story about, he could tell on the phone because he said something about it, and I'm like, I just kept telling him like, dude, I am absolutely loving this. And he goes, I knew you would. He's like, and he knows that. So church has been a struggle for me. I'll be honest. Church has been a struggle. I have never doubted. I feel like I have a very, very strong belief. The relationship hasn't been strong until recently, right? And I feel like that's okay because now I've been building that relationship through little ways, and obviously I've been wanting to go to church and stuff, but I still just struggle with the church aspect currently. But read the Bible, very strong belief. And this person I've only known, how long have I've only known him for like 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And dude, feels like years. But he's like, you're one of the most spiritual people I've ever met in my entire life. And
I would agree.
he's like, I knew that you would absolutely eat this up. And dude, I felt like I was 10 feet tall the whole time I was talking to him, and he was telling me these stories. No joke, like it's crazy. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I mean, ever since I met you, you've been very spiritual. It didn't matter what it was. I've had some pretty powerful moments like in the mountains and like my whole life. Like I've always gone to church, like I said, but like wanting the church aspect has at times been a struggle, like believing in the gospel and believing in God and Jesus Christ. Like that's never been in question for me. But the spiritual aspect of like being in their creation and like I can go on a hike and it fills my cup, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like, and so I never felt like I was truly like missing anything. And I feel like that's kind of how you are. Like I know you want to go to church, but I feel like at the same time, like you are such a spiritual soul that you feel full at times
Mm-hmm.
because I mean you do take care of your spirituality, which I think is
Yeah.
big because you're not.
And I think that's a good leeway into kind of a little tidbit that I've kind of been wanting to talk about, because it's people say it all the time and we talk about it all the time. People talk about the mountains are my church, right? That is awesome, but it has to be an active thing, right? I notice when there's times that I will go up in the mountain and I get off the mountain and I didn't get out of it what I wanted to get out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Killing aside, animals aside, going up there to be closer to God, you have to take a step back and be active in that moment, enjoying his creation, actively feeling his presence out there, right?
yeah, yeah,
You can't just go on about your day because there's so much going on through your head, and you have to take that time. That's one of my most favorite things to do after we get to an animal we just killed is take that time. Right. And that's why absolutely love that video that you got of me and genuinely appreciate you guys hanging back for a second. Like, it wouldn't have bothered me either way, but
yeah. I know we're so similar when it comes to that, and I know your ritual when you kill. So it like I don't know. It didn't feel like what's a good word? Like it wasn't forced.
mhm.
And for people we're referring to the Arizona hunt we just went on, Jared killed a coos. And as he walked up on it, I stopped 30 yards before the buck as Jared walked up on it and just sat back and filmed. Let him have the moment, let him soak that in. And like that's I feel like we've always done that on any kill that we've done that together.
Yeah, I agree. Just
It's a powerful moment, I feel.
I agree. Yep. And I like to just, give thanks to God and thank the animal and just have a moment
Yeah.
and really truly appreciate it. I honestly, I feel like there's quite a few hunters that do that as well. And
Hmm.
I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. 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 I actually today was watching a YouTube video. It was a Maryland or Maine moose hunt. Epic hunt.
Well, that giant bull,
Yeah. The new state record.
I haven't seen it yet, but I saw the thumbnail and I was like,
Oh,
oh
dude,
my.
giant bull. So they killed that, and something that like in the video, the thing that they talked about is like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Where it took 15 years to draw the tag. He didn't force it. He just said if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. It was I believe it was a rifle tag, but he took his bow and he's like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen with a bow. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Killed first thing opening morning with a
My
bow.
gosh.
And like having it was a dad and his sons and just having his sons there like just they touched on like he's like I don't care if I kill a bull, being out here with my boys camping having fun for this week, like this is why we do it. And they kill a bull and it was like it was meant to be. And the dude does a bunch of stuff for veterans and things. He's a very giving person, and so they kind of shared that he, he's more than deserving of this.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, they took a minute, said a prayer, which I thought was just, it adds to those videos so much more,
Oh yeah.
and just the respect, and like without him, we're not doing it. So
No, absolutely not.
yeah,
That's
it
why
was
one of my
just,
favorite YouTube channels is Limitless Outdoors. You ever seen him? If not, you're
I
probably
don't
gonna
know
go
if I have.
binge watch him.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's a pastor, and I love watching his stuff. It's pretty great stuff. But yeah, so I just wanted to share kind of what happened this week and that powerful stuff. I know I could understand those that don't have a strong belief that all of that probably sounds insane, right? But to me, uh, just felt. There's no other thing to say other than I felt the spirit the entire time I was talking about these people. Very, very strong.
I felt it through this. You hadn't told me the stories yet,
No,
so this is the first time me hearing them,
yeah,
and and I felt it, no doubt. I think people listening are gonna feel it too.
I hope so.
I think today's message overall is listen to moments where you need to reach out and act on it.
Yep, listen to that little voice.
Yeah. I know Wes, he's shared this a couple times on his story of, he calls them the Bing moments, which I think is kind of cool. Just throw a name to it. Having a Bing and just like realizing, okay, I got to shoot a text or call this person, whatever. Listen to that small voice. And he recently shared, he shared about sharing a Bing moment, and then a guy reached out back to him, and he said that he had a Bing moment, had the little voice telling him to reach back out to his dad that he hadn't talked to in 3 years, and immediately gave his dad a call for, I mean, there was, I think, bad blood or something, and rekindled that friendship, and is going to lunch with his dad 3 years later after not talking to him.
That's
And
awesome.
I think putting yourself and your pride aside, because don't get me wrong, there's been times where I have a Bing moment and I feel embarrassed to reach out to someone. There's one that I've listened to every time. It's one of my really good childhood buddies, still great friends to this day. Like, it happens to me. I don't know why, and I still don't know why, but I get this voice, reach out, and I'll text him, I'll call him, I'll text him, and I helped him. And the times that I had reached out, like, he had gotten married, didn't have a place to live. I got him a place to live through a connection I had. Got him a job. I hired him at a company I was working for. And these are all different times that just like I had a voice. And then there's one that was really big just a little while ago, a year or two. And I sent him this long messages like, I'm thinking about you, dude. Like, love you, bro. Proud of you. Glad everything's, good if you need anything. He sent me this big long message that he had just gotten a divorce with his wife. And it was like a pretty rough situation. And so I had a great conversation with him, and just like, I mean, that was heavy to hear and hard, but it was like, if I wouldn't have listened, would he have had somebody to talk to?
Hmm.
Right. And so I think you reaching out to your friend and just being there to listen is listening to that little voice, but then also listening to to his messages, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know, I'm just trying to throw a name to the lessons of today's today's
Um,
talks.
and I don't. Yeah, and I think you nailed it. And I don't know that there's any more to like label it as, and people will take from this what they will, But again, that little voice, I just felt like I needed to share it. So
It was a good one.
with that, appreciate you guys tuning in. We really appreciate it. And again, please reach out to us if you have anything that you want us to talk about, or if you just need to talk or get something off your chest, topics you want us to cover, anything really. Message Braxton, myself, Bownerds pages, and we appreciate your guys' support.
Yeah, literally, like every single person that listens to this or has sent us a message, like thank you. This has been a lot of fun. It's been refreshing. It's been a therapy session for us. So seriously, like I appreciate everybody that supports us. It's been amazing.
So tune in till next week. We'll see you guys on another episode of the Bownerds podcast, Mental Health Monday.
Peace out.